Well, hello, and welcome to Real Talk. We're so glad to have all of you to join us. We have the beautiful, lovely Miss Bishop T and yours truly, Pastor Z. We have an exciting show on tonight. We really do. Looking forward to hearing from the individuals that's going to be joining us on today. We have the COVID update that is going to be coming in from, of course, Councilman Worthy, as well as we will have Miss LaShunda Williams. She's the East Gaston Branch Library Manager. And so she's going to be sharing with us some things that is going on, that they've been having going on this month, this being the Black History Month, and all the events that has went on, and those events that are will be coming on coming up this the remainder of the month. Also have Mr. Robert Avery, who's going to be making a official announcement right here on Real Talk. So we're going to be talking to him shortly as well. So we're glad to have all of you on today. That's right. You can follow us on Facebook Live. We got a Facebook page. You can like and share, of course. Or you can also follow us on YouTube. Check us out on YouTube. Like and subscribe. You can on Facebook Live or YouTube. You can always put in Real Talk with Pastor Z and Bishop T, and you'll find us there. On our Twitter page, you can always connect us there. Real Talk with Z and T at Real Talk with Z _ T. Okay. How you doing on today, Bishop?
I am good, Pastor Z. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. We have some weather that tentatively could be kind of rough for us in our area tonight. So we pray that we don't get kicked off or disconnected due to the weather.
Right. So we'll probably be moving it on through tonight.
We will. Good evening, Miss Marion Johnson, Miss Katrina Davis. Good evening to you. Miss Rosalind Smith. Hello, how are you? Miss Tara Marbury Townsend, how are you doing? And Miss Frances Bryant. We welcome all of you to join us. You can comment, ask questions throughout the show. We're looking forward to having a great time. Hello, Shannon White. How are you? All right. Looking forward to have any questions or comments you would like to make throughout the show. We look forward to it. Okay. So, Bishop, if you're ready,
let's go.
First things first, COVID update. Mr. Thomas Worthy, how are you, man?
Hello. How's everything?
Everything is good. How about yourself?
All right, Bishop T, everything's good today?
Everything is well. How are you, Councilman Worthy?
Hey, I am great.
You are great.
Yes, I'm losing weight. I feel good. I got a lot of energy. It's
What
something else.
What are you doing to lose the weight?
Well, I've been fasting and praying and dieting, and
Okay. Okay.
I'm just pushing back from the table and
Okay.
exercising a little bit.
I'm
So
finna
Okay.
say, I'm finna say, fasting and praying ain't did nothing for me. For
well,
as losing weight.
you have to push away from
You
the
must
table.
not. Was you fasting? Were you fasting?
Fast.
Yeah.
Get up every morning at 6 o'clock with LD and do Bible study at 6 o'clock. We've been doing that for about 40 days now in a row. So that
I
helps.
can kind of see it a little bit in your face.
I see it in his face and his bald head and everything.
Absolutely, absolutely. And man, it's great. You know, I
Hey,
don't
I
even
don't
watch
knock
TV like
nobody.
I used to because
I
I'm
don't.
up moving,
I don't knock.
moving all the time.
I don't knock nobody, man. Knock nobody trying to live. We had a thing called a will to live, and we would go to the track here at our ministry
Right.
together, and whatever you could do, you know.
Well,
But
when
talk
you
to
lose
us
that,
about
when
this.
you lose that weight, your knees and your back don't hurt as bad.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's go. We're gonna do this COVID update, and listen, I have good news. For the first time since we had this Omicron variant to hit us, our numbers are way down. So this is a great report I'm about to give. Well, now if I can find it, here we go. Okay, our positivity rate now is 22.4%. Remember, it used to be up over 50%. So that is great news. We have 28,534 total cases in Etowah County. In 2020, we had 10,807 cases. In 2021, we had 10,278 cases. Now, remind you, that's for the whole year. In 2022, we're not even in our third month. We have 7,439 cases. That is a lot of cases. Deaths, our death toll for Etowah County is 570. 238 deaths in 2020, 293 deaths in 2021, and so far this year we have 39 deaths in Etowah County. The last 7 days we had 548 tests, 123 tests were positive. Gaston Regional Medical Center is reporting 27 cases. They are not on diversion. Riverview Hospital reported 27 cases, and they not on diversion. So that's good news all the way around. Gaston City School system is at a 0.187% infection rate. So that's great news. We only had one EMS staff member that's out. All our fire department members are back. Gaston Regional still have some members out, but it's a low number. Our next conference call, we're going to skip next week because the numbers are so far down. So if the next EMA conference call we will have is on March the 1st, then I'll be able to give you an update that week. So that's great news.
Great news.
Yes.
Absolutely.
To God be the glory.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely. So we just got to continue doing what we're doing. Wearing your mask, personal hygiene, washing your hands, and social distancing. And we're going to get through this. And I just hope we don't have another variant to come along. So please, ma'am, please, sir, get your shots if you don't have them already. So.
You're right. Well, all right, my friend.
All right, y'all have a good evening. Thanks for having me. All right.
Always. All right. Awesome news. Great to hear that. Always good to hear when the numbers are better or when the numbers are good. Numbers are good. Tonight we have special guest, Miss LaShunda Williams. She is the East Gaston Public Library branch manager. And of course, we're excited about having her on with us tonight to share some important information that maybe some people are not aware of. So let's welcome everybody to Real Talk for the first time, Miss LaShunda Williams. Hello, Miss LaShunda.
Good evening. Good evening. How y'all doing?
We
Hey,
Good,
are
how are
good.
you?
We are good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Doing
Um,
great. All right. So you are at the East Gaston branch, the public library, and there's some very interesting and exciting things been going on,
yes.
especially this month. Share with us some of the things that has already went on.
Okay. As of the first of the month, we had February 14th, Valentine's Day. We had a guest speaker, Madeline Burkhart of the Rosa Parks Museum at Troy University, Montgomery. She lectured us about women of the bus boycott movement. It was outstanding. We learned a lot about other than Rosa Parks who participated in the boycott. We have actually an exhibit. You can bring your kids and you can come and see it also of the women of the bus boycott. So there are the different women that participated during those over 300 days. And it is outstanding. It's phenomenal. And that would be a great place to take your kids. So that would be, it's at the Lena Martin, not in the Lena Martin room, sorry. It's in our popular library at the Gaston Public Library downtown.
Okay.
So, and also February 15th, we have a free COVID-19 testing with Samika McElroy. She comes once a month where you can get free COVID-19 tests done from 11 to 12. And normally it's the third Tuesday of the month. So the next one will be March 15th. And it's free. And that is at our branch, 809 East Broad Street.
Okay.
So coming up, we have for the 21st, that's next week, next Monday, we will have little known heroes of the movement. And we will have Mr. Samuel Pugh. He has been at the library before. He was formerly of the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. He has spoken at Mount Zion Baptist Church during our Black History program. He is wonderful. He will expound on the lesser known heroes of the civil rights movement. So bring your kids. And if you can't come out, we also have a Zoom link. So either email myself or Tim Madden, or you can call us at 256-549-4691. And we can get that Zoom link to you. And also on the 28th, this is the wrap up. We will also have we will have recollections and research of the Black Church and Black genealogy. That is with Mr. Stanley Blackburn of Morrow, Georgia. He's a former Gastonite, and he will let us let us know about the history of Christianity in the Black Church and how to best research our Black genealogy. So we always say, if we don't know where we come from, we don't know where we're going, and our family members need to know. So I think this will be a great, and this is Zoom only. So you can email me, or like I said, or call me and give me your email address, and I can forward you the link to this program. I think this will be outstanding. It's hard to find Black history if you go past the really 1800s because of slavery. They didn't always keep slave records. So he will let us know how to dig through all of these things, all these historical documents, how to find our ancestry. So I think it'd be wonderful. So, and I'm sorry I'm stuttering, y'all, because
You
I am.
fine. You fine. So this take place when?
That will be February 28th on Monday evening at 5:30. I'm sorry, I didn't give you all the times.
Okay.
5:30 p.m.
At which library?
The February 28th one is Zoom only. So I have to send you the link for that
Okay.
one
Okay.
because he's out of Georgia. But the other ones will be at the main library downtown
Okay.
at
Okay.
254 College Street.
Okay. And those times for the event that's taking place next Monday is what?
5:30. Every
Really?
program at 5:30. Now, somebody will say, "Well, your library closes at 5 o'clock." We're open at 5:30 just for our program. So that is for people coming in. That will be in our Lena Martin room.
Okay, let me ask you a question because
Yes,
I
sir.
know they have made mention concerning the new project, the community center being uh, erected in East
Yes, sir.
Gaston.
Mm-hmm.
And I know in times past in the old community center, you and Pastor Madden operated a library inside of that community
Right.
center.
Mm-hmm.
Will there be a library in the new community center? Have you heard?
No, no, sir. Not at the present time.
Okay.
Not at the
Okay.
present time. Um, uh, I don't know what the future holds for us, but where we are located, we are partnered with the Even Start program that comes
Okay.
to the city, the Board of Education. We partner with the boys and not boys and girls, big brothers, big sisters that's upstairs down the way, and the Family Success Center. So, and then the trolley stop is right outside, and then the health department is right next door. So we see different people from all walks of life, you know. So our where we are located, I think we help more people in that
Okay.
location.
Okay.
So we have you know, we sign people up for if they want to vote, we register people to vote. We also previously in January 15th was our last day. I'm on Affordable Care Act. I signed people up for the Care Act, which is Obamacare. Myself and Mr. Madden. Um, we do a plethora of things. So I think where we're located, we meet the needs of the community. We may need a larger space. We do. Um, but I think, and where we are located, we are, I think, in a central area. And that way, I do outreach to the Adams Elementary, Donahue, and I want to do some outreach at Litchfield. So, you know, we're in a good spot, I think.
Well, keep up the good work. You know, I know your worth ethics. I know what you're able to do. LaShunda is actually our youth leader here at Mount Zion Baptist Church, and is doing a great job as a youth leader, along with the other youth leaders that work along with her. And so we know it's your heart, it's your passion. And we appreciate you coming on to give us this information that maybe a lot of people that are listening to us right now wasn't aware of or wasn't
Right.
privy to. So thank you for sharing that information. Bishop, you have anything?
I don't. Thank you for being here,
I appreciate you all
sharing.
having me on. I appreciate it. Thank
Uh,
you.
All right. All right. Well, you have a great night, and thank you again for sharing with us.
Thank y'all.
All right. All right. Great information. Great information for us. To have, and for those that are looking for somewhere to go to enjoy uh, this month and to learn, you definitely need to check out those different events. Check out those different events. Okay. Um, at this time, we're getting ready to go to our next guest, um, Mr. Robert Avery. Is about to come on to Real Talk for the first time, and we're excited about having him um, as a first timer. He's going to make an official announcement, and we're going to talk to him about a few things. And prayerfully, if you have any questions or comments, you'll be able to ask those questions or comments also. So let's welcome Mr. Robert Avery to our show. Mr. Avery, how you doing today?
Good evening. I'm doing great. How you doing, Pastor, and of course Bishop, my daughter?
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Just
Awesome.
just trying to survive and do what we can do.
All right. Okay. Well, we have invited anyone that looking to enter I have decided to enter into the political race in whatever um, uh, area that they want to, they are willing or is going to enter to come on to our show and share with our listeners and our viewers as well, what their plans are and what they hope to accomplish. So, Mr. Avery, I'm understanding there's a big announcement that we have been anticipating hearing from you. So, you want to share that announcement with everybody?
Well, Pastor, I really do. As you know, this is an election year here in our city, and you know, I think some people have already heard, and there's been some speculation, but if they haven't officially heard, that I am running for mayor in the upcoming election for the city of Gaston. So I want to make it officially known and make that announcement here this evening that I am a candidate for mayor for the city.
Well, let me be the. I know I'm not the first to say congratulations. I'm sure you've gotten many calls of those that have heard it through the grapevine, and I think that you've been on Introspect with Mr. Zachary and shared some things as well. But let me say congratulations, and we wish you well in running for that position. We know that you have served as councilman in District 3 in the past. We know that you have also ran for mayor. I think maybe 2 times, I think. And we know that you're a trailblazer. You've done a lot of great things for our community, especially, District 3 where I live. I grew up and I grew up during the time, me and Bobby and Kim, we grew up during the time when you and Steve Means used to have y'all bouts. you know, uh,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, and it was like you could never get nothing done in District 3 because Steve Means and you was always, you stood up for what you believe, and you stood up for the people, and in doing so, of course, they always had the majority and there was always some retaliation, but we always knew that Mr. Avery, anybody gonna fight for you, Mr. Avery was gonna fight for you. So let me say I appreciate the things that you did and the role you played as we came up. We didn't know of any African Americans working in City Hall at the time. Were you the only African American at City Hall at one time?
No, the history is that we changed the form of government back in 1986 when we went to a mayor council form of government. Prior to that, we had the mayor and 2 commissioners, and they were all elected at large.
Okay.
Myself, along with several other people, filed a lawsuit against the city to change the form of government because we felt that Black people were not being represented uh, as the way the government was set up. As a matter of fact, the city was not being represented great or good because at that point you had 2 commissioners who lived within a few blocks of each other. And so you can imagine which side of town got most of the service. But anyway, uh, but William Cunningham and I were the first 2 people to Black people to be elected to city government. William and I often always bragged about who was first. And of course, I got elected without a runoff in that election. William had a runoff. So from that standpoint, I guess I was first. But like William always reminded me when they started the swearing in ceremony, District 1, which he represented, was sworn in first. So when you
Okay.
look at it from that standpoint, yes, he was the first to be officially a city councilman in Gaston.
Okay. So
Yeah.
question, our city, and I've Bishop and I have said that we're going to be very instrumental in this election because we really feel like there's need to be a great change in City Hall, a great change. I think that it's time that Gaston become the place where everybody, all the residents in Gaston, would be proud to say that they live in Gaston. I've said this before, and people get upset when you speak the truth. But we need we need people to give some attention to Tuscaloosa Avenue, Green Pastures, Oakland Estates, Mill Village, Walnut Park, Flatwood. These places that there have been neglected, and you can tell it. We need some industries coming in, some productive industries that we can be proud of, that would pretty much not only help the citizens of Gaston, but also would bring in other people from the outside to work. You know, we need a lot of things going on in our city. Our city is not a dead city. And as much as people say it's just a retirement place to return back to retire, we have a lot of young people here that are, they have a lot of energy, they have a drive in them, and they desire to do some things, for their city. But when they feel like there's no opportunity here, they won't come back here. I just recently saw, I think yesterday on the news, about the wages for the firemen. There was a guy that was working for the Gaston Fire Department now in Oxford, and he was talking about, he couldn't raise his family in Gaston working for the firemen. He said he had to work 2 jobs as a fireman here in Gaston. And it's all because they would not give them a raise. Our police department, and I hear Joseph Cole talk about this all the time. Mr. Joseph Cole, I mean no disrespect, but Mr. Joseph Cole, I'll talk about the police department and the fire department. Their pay, need to be increased, and you start them off at a pay that will attract people to Gaston to work, because they're going to the other places and working. There's a lot that need to be done. What is it that you feel and you see that need to be done? And if you are afforded the opportunity to become the mayor of Gaston, what would be your first order of business, if you mind me asking?
No, I don't mind, and I'm glad you asked. You covered a lot of areas in what you just got through saying about our city. The previous not the previous administration, but one of the previous administrations, for whatever reason, decided to try to make this city a retirement community, and they set out to do that. I don't know if you can remember, but they contracted with one of the local trucking companies, and on the back of those trucks, those 18-wheelers, they had "Come to Gadsden," a retirement community, and they did advertising in magazines all over this country promoting Gaston as a retirement community. And I don't have a problem with that, but at the same time, like you just said, our young people are suffering. When you have just retirement people here, then there's no opportunity for growth for our young folks, because again, and I'm one of those senior citizens, and I can speak from experience. We ain't having no more children. I'm not having any more children. And if you just continue to have older people here, then you're going to lose that continuity with young folks coming, because nobody's going to be having any children. But what I would do, one of the things that I want to concentrate on, and I think you can remember, you talked about it, is our young people. And we need to set up a program similar to what Birmingham has. And it's called the Department of Youth Services. And they do a lot of activities with their young people down there. It's similar to what we had here years ago when we had Quest for Excellence. I know you were participated in that as a young man. Y'all played basketball. I don't know if you played softball or whatever else that Quest had going on. But we've got to get something going for our young folks. And I think education is the key, and we need to start education early. I have no problems with Head Start. As a matter of fact, most people don't know I was one of the members of the board who applied for the funds for Head Start when we got Head Start here in Gadsden. Gadsden, Alabama, and a lot of people don't know, was the first Head Start program in the country. The summer that we received our funding, there was only 2 cities that received funding, and Gadsden was one of them. So I always claim we were the first, because I don't know. I think they awarded the monies the same time, but until those people, other folk claim or tell me different, so I'm gonna say Gadsden got the money first. But Head Start is a social program. It helps in education, but it's a social program. We need to have our young people, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, in an educational setting. And I'm going to be very, very strong on trying to establish every child in this city the opportunity to go to kindergarten at 4 years old. So we need a 4K kindergarten here. I do know that right now the state, and I think maybe even the feds are leaning towards creating a 4K system. But even if they don't, the city needs to create one. And I know that right now the city has pulled all of its budget funding from the school board. Craziest thing in the world, as far as I'm concerned.
Crazy.
Well, and you got some personality conflicts there, and I understand that. But our children are more important than personality conflicts.
I've been saying that.
And so the first thing I would do in that area is make sure that we have the 4K available for all of our children. Because what happens with our children, and when I say our children, I'm talking about Black children in particular, but poor children, period, be they Black or white. By the time they get to the 3rd grade, if they're not sufficient in, writing and reading, then they start guessing how many prisons we're going to have to build in the future. And I used to think, that's not happening. But I found out that is true throughout this country. Based on the test scores in the 3rd grade, it equates to all the problems that we're going to have down the road. So education is going to be a top priority for me. Then the next thing we got to do is make sure we got jobs. I know there's been some controversy about the last plant that tried to locate here, but I was instrumental in bringing the AutoZone distribution center here, a couple other smaller companies. And that's one of the things we got to do too. We can't sit back and wait for that major industry to come in that's going to hire 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people. That ain't going to happen no time soon, I don't think. So we got to diversify. And I would like to see us go after those businesses that's going to hire 100 people, 200 people. Because if anything happens from an economic standpoint and they have to shut down, it doesn't have a major impact on our city economics, like Goodyear did or the steel plant. So jobs is going to be another issue that I'm going to be looking at. As you know, and I'm going to get into it because I know somebody's going to ask about it. Everybody's been talking about it. Wanted to know what my thoughts were about the rendering plant.
I was just about to ask that.
I know. I supported the rendering plant. And the reason I support the rendering plant is very, very simple. They were jobs, good paying jobs. They had benefits and what have you. I think the people who oppose that plant and oppose those jobs were primarily people who live outside the city.
Outside the city?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Everybody who spoke at the hearing on the rendering plant who were opposed to the rendering plant, there was 41 people. I got the list of everybody who spoke.
Okay.
Only 4 of those people lived in. Only 4 of those people lived in Gadsden. I want to repeat that.
4 living Gadsden. Okay, so let me ask you this. So when you say outside of Gadsden, are you saying it's a possibility they lived in Rainbow City, South Side, because I know that they're different cities themselves, but they're in Gaston. We call them Gaston. Well, are you saying that they live, or were they people that live maybe in Rainbow City or South Side in that area? Or was they really outside of Gaston?
They live outside of Gaston, probably Rainbow City or Tyler, and in the county. Most of the people opposition came from around the people who lived around the airport. That was your hub of the opposition. I ran across very few people in Gaston who had an issue with the plant, and particularly the folk of color who lived in East Gaston said, of course, they've been had a chicken plant for years, and
That's what I said too. They was laughing at me.
yeah,
Don't worry,
and none
I'm
of
gonna play that video in a minute. But go on, Mr. Avery.
and none of the people uh, came to their rescue to complain about the plant over there.
True,
And
that's true. And I
and I've
said
been
this,
hearing.
I said this, Mr. Avery, and I said this to a couple of people, that just as much as they looked at for our support in this project, if we are the county, if we are the city, if we are a community, when we have issues, we shouldn't have to go looking for them to support us in our issues as well. Now, my question to you is this. I understand they may have been jobs, but aren't we better than just a chicken plant? Can't we bring more attractive jobs to Gaston more than just chicken plants? I don't want to become, like I told them, like Fort Payne is the sock capital of the world. I used to work for Buffalo Rock, and they got hosiery factories all over Fort Payne. If you start with one, you get two. Next thing you know, it's gonna be 3, 4, 5 moving in because they feel like we can win in that area. So we don't want to become the chicken plant capital of the world. There's other
Absolutely.
factories we can bring in, and especially for that particular land that they was trying to buy. I don't think that a chicken plant bets suit being in that area. I think we need to aim higher than what we're aiming. Don't you think so?
I agree with you. I agree. Yeah, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know the background. All I know is what I've heard, that the plant was planned for the county's work site. I mean, the county's industrial site. They didn't have the infrastructure over there to host that plant, and then the state and somebody else suggested that we come over to Gaston. Let me give you some background on the county's industrial site, okay? Because people need to know the whole story. When we 4-lane Airport Boulevard out there by the airport, we put in some new sewer lines and new water lines so we could take care of the chicken plant, for lack of a better description, of Cook's plant out there. We went to the county and asked the county, since they have that industrial site out there, it's going to cost us X number of millions of dollars to put those pipes in. For another $1.5 million, if I remember correctly, we could have put in a bigger pipe, water pipe, and sewer line, and ran it to what's the street out there, whatever the road is out there. I'm trying to think of it now. That would have ran those lines to the county's industrial park. Okay, $1.5 million, all it would have cost us additional to running those bigger lines out there. The county said they didn't have the money. The city and the county was feuding, like the city and the county is still feuding today, which is a bunch of crazy stuff. I and myself and Bob Eccles tried to get them to put the bigger pipes in. We didn't have enough boats to do it. The administration didn't want to do it because they were mad at the county. So as a result of that, we didn't put the pipes in. Now, when this plant come along, they're talking about costing $20 million to run the infrastructure out there. when we could have done it for like $1.5 million way back when. So that's the background there. Now, as far as the plant itself, yes, we can do better. I don't know what they had down the pike to bring in jobs and what have you, but I'm sure that came up and they thought, well, look, they're jobs. They're good paying jobs. But again, you have to go out as an elected official, and I don't have a problem with the industrial development group, but elected officials, the mayor of this city needs to be the top recruiter of jobs and businesses.
Let me
And
ask you a question.
we don't have that.
You
Sure.
said the industrial. Tell me that name
Development
again.
authority.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we have some people that recruit manufacturers and companies to come to Gaston.
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay, well, I need to talk to them because look like all they are doing is addressing chicken plants. Okay, so as a mayor, if you was elected mayor, you would have an opportunity to recruit as well.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Not only will I have, but I will be top recruiter.
Okay, so tell me what would be, first of all, an ideal. Just throw this at you. What would be, first of all, a ideal manufacturer that you would try to bring here? You know, we have all of that out there. The steel plant had, it's gone to waste. They're using a few buildings there to try to make it a industrial park. I worked at the steel plant when it closed. Then they have all of that out there that Goodyear have left, that big building. And we have other buildings. Question, I would like to know what would be a ideal thing, or what you think would be nice for the city of Gaston. Just one plant.
Let me tell you some things that I worked on. How about
okay?
When the Volkswagen people were trying to locate the Volkswagen plant, most people don't know, because again, the way industries and industrial recruiting works, it got down to 3 cities. It got down to Chattanooga, Tennessee, Gadsden, and Decatur, Alabama. Okay. My thing would have been, and I'm not pointing fingers at folks who were working on that, but I asked some folks, why don't we work with Decatur, Alabama? And let's cut Chattanooga out of this deal. And let's see which city, Decatur or Gaston, would be the best host city for the plant. And then let's cut the deal that the city that doesn't get the Volkswagen plant get a couple of the first tier suppliers. Okay? But do you think the leaders at that time thought that was a good idea? No. They wanted to get the plant. And what happens? The plant goes to Chattanooga, Decatur and Gaston both loses out. Well, I take that back. Decatur did cut a deal and they did get some first tier suppliers. We didn't get anything. Same thing happened on the Honda plant. Let me just give you some background on some things. The city of Gaston put in $2 million when they started recruiting the Honda plant. Okay. And we thought that putting that money in when the Honda plant decided to locate down there in Lincoln, that we were going to get a first tier supplier for the Honda plant as a result of us putting the $2 million in. We didn't get that. What we did get, and I don't go around slinging mud at folks, but what we did get, it wasn't for the city. It was for certain people. And so we've got to cut out that kind of corruption. We got to cut out those type of individuals who are selfish and who don't want to help people in this city. So I could go on and on about a number of recruits. But to answer your question, I was a member of Leadership Alabama. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but what they try to do is they bring together people from all over the state, quote, what they say is in leadership positions. One of my classmates was the guy at the park in Huntsville. I forget what the perimeter park or whatever they call it right now, but he was the leading person there. He talked about expanding to Gadsden with drones. You know, right now, back then, that was a big thing, building drones and what have you. That was one of the things that we talked about bringing to the Gadsden airport. Again, not being in the leadership position, it didn't happen. I had a furniture maker out of Mississippi, a black guy, who wanted to bring his furniture business here. He has a place in Mississippi, but he wanted to locate in Alabama. We were given incentives for businesses to move to our industrial park. When the gentleman made a pitch, for whatever reason, again, not being in the loop, he wound up not being able to bring his business here. So there are a lot of opportunities out there. You just got to have folks who's willing to go out there and get them and accept those type of businesses. That's all.
Right. Mr. Storm said, Mr. Avery, this is the smallest county in Alabama. If Gadsden suburbs fail, we all fail. Let's ask our kid if they want to work at a chicken plant. And then Miss Frances Bryant said, who are they recruiting? And then Tara Marbury Townsend said, Amazon warehouses. That's a good idea. You know, Amazon warehouses, that is booming right now. I've heard that several times. He also, Danny Storm said that Chattanooga lost money on Volkswagen. Then he said, ask the new companies if they want to land their jets at the chicken plant. So, you expect that if you came out public and said that you was in support of the rendering, that there was some votes that you was going, you knew that you weren't going to get, right?
I didn't worry about votes. I worried about jobs for our people, good paying jobs with benefit. That's the most important thing. There's no such thing as bad jobs when they pay that kind of money, or jobs we don't need or we don't want. If you get to that point where you're going to start being choosy about what you can bring into to this city, as long as they're good paying jobs and they pay benefits, then we're going to lose out on a whole lot of things. Because there's going to always be a group of folks who don't want this or who don't like that.
Let me say this, Mr. Avery. I think you don't need to just settle for jobs versus the right jobs. I think in order to make Gadsden attractive, you can't just settle for anything that just say they're gonna pay you something. You know, I think you need to look at Oxford. I just talked to some people at Oxford. Oxford is running over with buildings. I think they pretty much is they are crowding themselves out. I just heard most recently they got Olive Garden, they got Best Buy, they got all, they just growing with leaps and bounds. And then I just heard that Jim and Nick's is on their way there to Oxford. They just, I mean, they are flourishing. They're not just throwing in any little, they ain't throwing in a Riley's, or they not throwing in a White Cow. They throwing in restaurants that they know that people want to eat in. Just like I'm looking at the restaurants that make it attractive. Jobs is what make the city attractive. People who will want to travel 30 minutes or even an hour to Gadsden to work at you losing more money traveling this way. I traveled to Anniston, been doing it for 15 years. Every day to work at the Anniston Army Depot, because there's not any jobs in Gadsden that will allow me to take care of myself and my children or my family. Okay. So in order, and I'm be honest with you, if the rendering plant was here, I would not apply for it. They can't pay me what I'm making at Anniston Army Depot. They will not be paying that type money.
Right. But how many people in this city who would work at a plant paying $17 and $18 an hour? I know you would.
Would it start there though? Would it really start there? Because from my
I
understanding,
don't.
they was combining salaries of the managers and higher ups in with the
Right.
employees and made it look
Exactly,
like there was an
brother
average.
Huff. Brother Huff. That's the problem. See, we don't know. We just know about what people are saying. So
Exactly.
you don't. Let me give you some background about Oxford. They had a mayor down there, Leon Smith, who was very um, energetic individual who took chances. We tried, and when I say we, there was a few of us in government who tried to get the Sam's wholesale here. You can verify it with the Grissom people. The Grissom people bought all of that property over there next to Walmart. I worked with them to try to recruit getting Sam's here when they started building and bringing in those other businesses over there. So it just depends on people who are at the top, people who have the influence, and people who have the wherewithal to go out there and get those jobs. And I'm saying I'm that person. Yes,
Okay.
I supported the rendering plant. Do I think that that's all we need? No, it's not all we need. But I'm going to go out there and get whatever job that I can get that's going to help support the people in this community and help us to maintain our city and build our tax base. I mean, it's just that plain and simple. You
Yeah.
know, it's a lot of things I don't like personally, but it ain't got to do with what I like. It's what's best for our community and the people in our community.
Right.
And right now, we need jobs.
Yeah.
And you know, I can't be picky and choosy if I'm not in a position to influence those jobs that come into this community. That's why I'm running for mayor, so I can be in that position and I can go out there and help get those type of jobs you're talking about.
Miss Frances Bryant said there are much better good paying jobs than a chicken plant and or rendering plant. These are just
I agree with.
comments coming from our viewers. Miss Tara Townsend said they have the right people in the right position. She was talking about Oxford. She said that Gaston has been running into a brick wall for years because they have the wrong people in office and they aren't being voted out.
Okay.
Thomas Worthy said, we do know because I was one to ask PP the question and they lumped together. I'm not sure
Oh,
about what that
I'm
means.
People
not.
saying PP. I think PP is Pilgrim Pride. That
Oh,
PP. I think PP may be Pilgrim Pride.
maybe Pilgrim Pride. Again, I don't know because I'm not there. So you're gonna hear anything and everything.
Okay.
And again, they were a legit business who were coming into a community who was going to offer some jobs with benefits.
Yeah.
And you got to look at those. I don't care. Again, um, I can go one even better. When we first went into office, I don't know if you know this, but Budweiser and the Bush Company was looking at bringing the plant to Gadsden. It had got down to the city of Gadsden and Cartersville, Georgia. And they were going to build their Bush Garden, you know, the tourist thing in the city. Now, I got this from one of the recruiters who happened to be black. And this, like I said, you can go back and research. It was right before we came into office. The reason they didn't come to Gaston, which they were going to come to Gaston, because Gaston had everything Cartersville had. It had the water, the whole 9 yards, okay? You had a group of local ministers who met with the mayor at that time and some other folk and said that we don't want a brewery in our city.
Mm.
Opposed to Budweiser coming in with a brewery. Now, I don't drink, never have, never will at this stage in my life. But I would have fought like the Dickens to get the brewery here. Just because I don't drink and I'm not opposed to other people drinking, but those guys, I guess from a religious standpoint, thought that that was a bad thing, just like people think the chicken plant or the rendering plant is a bad thing. But what's bad for some people is good for others. And we need to keep that in mind. You can't just jump on something because you don't like it, and when you got other people, it will affect. I
But
wish we had the Budweiser plant here. I wish we had the Busch Garden here in our city, but because of a group of folk, and I could probably name some of the ministers who were there, we don't have that in our community. We've got to get people with that kind of thinking out of our business and look at what's best for our community, not what's best for me or what's best for you.
well, I, my stance would be concerning the whole beer thing. I wouldn't have no problem with it. Them making it,
That's
whatever, it's gonna happen.
you
There's no
prove my
sin.
point.
There's no sin in that. It's sin is overindulging in it, whatever. But here's and I want to say this about the rendering, then we're gonna move on to something else I want to ask you. My question is, once whatever we bring in is here, is it going to make Gaston a better place, or will it put Gaston in a bad place, or will it leave us, in a place where we regret that we ever allowed it to come in, because there's going to always be some things attached. And like you said, we don't know. We don't know, we can assume, but we don't know. Thomas Worthy said the manager job and all salary positions were averaged together. Epiphany Crook Cherry said industries considered the state of the school system and the test scores. The greater
That's right.
the industry, the greater the education requirements. We must measure up. So let's start with the basics: reading, writing, and arithmetic. We must measure up.
She just said. I mean, she just proved what I said to start with. I don't know if you
Well,
were the only
here's
one.
my problem. I have no problem with that. And I think Mr. Reddick is doing a fantastic job as superintendent. Everybody don't agree with me, and I really don't care. But here's the thing that people fail to realize. If the city is not willing to invest in the school, how can you expect the school to get better? If you're
They
snatching
don't.
about the budget every time you turn around, how can you? And I always heard that as the school system go, so does the city. You go to
Absolutely.
Piedmont, they invest into their schools. Some of these people around here are so concerned is about winning games. They ain't concerned about the education of our children. You
Bro,
always put your children first, and you never snatch a dime nor a red cent from them.
Brother Huff, I think if you go back to what I first said, my first priority is going to be making sure that our 3 and 4 year olds have a quality education, a good start. And I agree with you. I mean, you're saying the same thing I've been saying. The education, what the young lady said, the education system is the key. Uh, you get what you get out what you put in, and if you don't have that type of educational system, did you go to Coweta, Georgia, on at that the school over there? Did you go on that trip?
No, sir.
Okay, uh, I got to take you over. I want to take you over. I wanted to get some of the board members, the new board members, to go over, and when I get to be mayor, we're going to take the board members over there.
What you said? Coweta.
Coweta County. It's Noonan, Georgia.
Okay.
But,
Who went on a trip over there?
I think Mr. Reddick went one time. I think Dr. Miller went one time. There was several people from the board that went over.
Okay.
But let me tell you about the school system. The school is right across the street from the public housing. Okay, and it's their tech program, one of the best tech programs in the country. As a matter of fact, you got other countries coming over trying to copy what they're doing there with their tech program. We went over maybe a few months ago. They've got a 17-year-old young man who's in the machine shop program, who works for a Japanese company. Now, listen to what I said. He works for them. They have a plant there in Georgia, and they have a plant in Texas. And he is their troubleshooter. When they have problems with their machinery, they fly him out to Texas, or they call him on the weekends or in the evenings to their plant there in Georgia for him to troubleshoot the problems that they're having with their machines because of his education in machinery. Uh, uh, some of the things that they've added since the last time I was over there, because of the industries that are moving into Georgia, they have one of the best production studios in the country. This is a high school now. And the way they do that is the Tyler Perrys and all those other people in Atlanta buy equipment and pour into that school. We've got to have a buy-in from our industries here in this community to supply machinery and to supply things for our young people to work on. One of the other programs that we finally got here in the city, and I thank my dentist for it, they have a program in dentistry. All of the young ladies in the Atlanta area and the Central Georgia area come out of that high school. When they finish that high school, they are dental hygienists. They have the class in the high school. They have a nursing program in the high school. Most of those kids who graduate from that high school go into those jobs. The first time I went over there was a young man who was doing fiber optic. He had $100,000, about $90-some thousand job at Lockheed doing fiber optic wiring. He hired some of his classmates to work in his company to go up there and do that fiber optic wiring. Those are the type programs that we got to bring to our community and our school system. Yeah, we got a good school system.
But if you have no money going there, this stuff costs money. We know that, right?
Yeah, we know that.
Okay, so it's got to be the city has got to buy into it. If the city wants to see that we can look around in Etowah County and find these people to work in these particular factories, if they come, then they got to invest into our schools. We can't have councilmen agreeing that we don't want to give money. And like you said, you know, some of them make it personal. They got a problem with who it is. When it come down to my child, I can care less who at the helm. It's for my child.
Well, I'm going to come to the of the council members. I think it's the administration problem. It's not the council. The council pretty much goes along with the administration.
What you mean, again, if you got talking about far as the budget?
No, I'm talking about as far as anything. It comes from the administration.
Okay, but still, and I say this, and no disrespect to you, Mr. Avery. I know I keep cutting you off. I just try to jump in there right quick. But here's what I say: the mayor and the superintendent and anybody that's in the highest position have only the power that the board gives them. That's all the power they got. If that mayor would have shot that budget out and you had 4 councilmen voted against it, the budget wouldn't have passed.
Okay. Now,
anything that the superintendent recommends, if we vote against it, it don't pass. So the board gives them. I fault the council or the boards for allowing a lot of this stuff to take place.
I agree with you.
Along with it.
But I also agree with the administration, and if in the case of the superintendent, if they make some bad decisions to get the board to go along with them, then who do you blame then?
The board
and the administration.
Well, mainly the board approved it.
Right, because the administration got enough support on the board to pass it.
Exactly, so we know how a lot of times the support come, right?
Everybody's responsible.
Everybody responsible. That's right. Got a question, and then we're going to move forward to something I want to ask you. Mr. Starn said, Mr. Avery, do you have any idea why Miss Tolles hates the people of Gaston?
I'm not going to get into that, number one, because I don't know if she hates the people of Gaston. So I would refer that to Mr. Stearns. Need to ask her personally about that. I'm not going to get into something like that.
Okay. Mr. Lacey Robinson said a great school system is the key, but the city community must invest in the system. Epiphany Cherry says, I agree. I think Mr. Reddick is doing a great job. The city must make education a priority.
Absolutely.
Tara Townsend says, please bring them Daddy Robert. Definitely would change the minds. And then Mr. Robinson said, great school system attracts great families and industries. Of course,
Absolutely.
I totally agree.
Absolutely.
Okay, let me ask you
Yeah.
this question. I said this in the last election when the people was running for mayor. I our church took our young people. Um, it's been over 4 years, but took our young people to Blunt's County to Spring Valley Beach, Aniana, to a water park.
Mhm.
The tickets was over $2,000. We had to load up bus. It's tourists there. With Gaston being the size it is, we got the Coosa River and many other things going on here in this city. Why we don't have an attraction similar to that where people, it would attract tourists that will generate money in our city to have them eating in our restaurants, staying in our motels, shopping in our stores. Money would generate in our city if we brought some. We have to go outside of Gaston to take our kids and spend over two. We could have spent that $2,000 here if we had a similar attraction. There are young people. They would create jobs. Young people would draw a lot of young people to the city, at least for the vacation. There's a lot of things that we can do. I know we talk about manufacturers, but also for entertainment. What are we doing to attract the younger people, or just to attract anyone here to say, let's go to Gaston? They got this going on down there this time. You know, what would be the ideal thing? Or would you agree that we could find plenty of land here to put up something similar to that?
I'm glad you asked that question, and I have a record, and I don't have any problem with anybody going looking at my record. One of the things that I pushed and supported is the city to buy up all of the property along the river. Most of the property that they have along the river now, thanks to Bob Eccles and myself pushing the council and the administration to buy property along the river to develop. One of the biggest piece of property that got away from us because, again, personalities came into it as opposed to what's best for the city is the piece of property right up under the 759 bridge. The gentleman who owned that property and owned some of the property along the river, we were negotiating with him to buy that property. And because one or two people in the administration and on the council didn't, he wound up buying that property and put a trailer park down there, basically what it amounts to. But I have pushed and again, didn't have the votes to do it along with Eccles to buy property along the river, to develop that river. One of the things that, and I learned this the first year I was in office, we went to San Antonio, Texas. I don't know if you've ever been to San Antonio, Texas, but they have what they call the River Walk. Henry Cisnero, who was the mayor, who also finally wound up being the Secretary of HUD, I had a long talk with him. And one of the things he said about that river walk, if you've ever been to San Antonio, the council people who and the city officials who voted to dig the ditch, as they called it, in that city, the people voted them all out of office because they didn't see spending money on that ditch. And right after Henry got in, they put a monument or a marker up praising those individuals who built that ditch because that ditch saved San Antonio, Texas. So sometimes council people and city people have to make those hard calls, and it don't look good at the time. Just like maybe the rendering plant don't look good at the time. But somebody's got to be willing to take that step and make that hard decision and do those type things. That river needs to be developed. Plain and simple. It's our most basic asset out there. And I'll say this, and then I'm going to let you ask another question. The most precious property in the city of Gaston is where City Hall sits now. I've been on the council. When I was on the council, we had 3 different groups of people who came to our city, hotel folks. We had the people who built the Westin in Birmingham. We had the Hilton people. And the other people, I think, was from, the Choice thing, the Choice Hotel folks, or whatever their company is. Everybody talked about, when we started talking about building a convention center, and by the way, I wouldn't have put the convention center where it is now. For your, if you want to know, I wouldn't have put it there.
The venue?
The venue, right. But those people came in and wanted to build a convention hotel. Everybody who came in wanted the spot where City Hall is sitting now, because it's a beautiful location. And you could have built a convention center along with a whole lot of other things from City Hall down to the old convention hall. Okay. Eppers and I, again, and Bob is not here now to verify it, but you could go back and check the record. We got the city to buy the old Sears building. And we swapped property with Jack's, who used to be down on Forest, to the property that the city have in East Gaston, where they're located now. And the plans were to build City Hall down there. We had looked at, if you remember, the county, when they did their renovation, they moved their offices out to Agricola Shopping Center. And the Marvin's was not out there at this time when we were talking about this. We talked about moving City Hall to Marvin's, tearing down that City Hall where it is now, building a new City Hall where the old Sears building all the way down to 7th Street, that the city owns all that property there, and building a new City Hall down there and let the hotel people come in and build a hotel and convention center. So things have been there, Bro Huff. You just hadn't had the right people in position who was willing to go out there and do those things and take that chance. I would be willing to do that. We've got to have people who think like that, who don't have nervousness, whatever they had about doing something like that. Our city could be in a heck of a lot better position now if we had some leadership who would be willing to step out there and do what's right for the community, as opposed to what's doing right for them.
Okay, all right. Bishop T, you have anything for Mr. Avery?
No, it sounds like to me you have a comprehensive plan to address the education as well as, like so many have said, there are a lot of components to the city being where it needs to be. And so I look forward to hearing some of your plan in the future as to pinpoint some things specifically as to your vision for the city. I know it's been a few years since you were in place or whatever, but I look forward to hearing what you have to say to get us to that point.
Let me say this right quick, because most people don't know. Even though I've been out of office, I think I've only missed 2 meetings of the National League of Cities. My company had a position on the Black Elected Officials Foundation Board, so I attended the meetings all while I was out of office. So I've been up to date with people, what's going on. And right now, the group that I'm working with, which is the Southern Regional Economic Roundtable, is the 7 southern states. And we have leadership people from elected officials, the NAACP, and all of that. So I've stayed in place. I've stayed in connection with what's going on. So it ain't like I've been away and hadn't done anything. Right now, I'm doing consulting work for several cities in Mississippi, working with several businesses around the other place. But let's get back to what I want to say now. Everybody out there, I want you to follow me over the next few months. I want you to go to robertaveryformayor.com. All together, robertaveryformayor.com. I have a web page up that we're going to be posted periodically. I have a Facebook page, and I'm asking everybody to go out there and read that and keep up with me and what I'm planning to do when I get in office. And we're going to have some feedback from the people in this city as to what they feel we need to do. And by the way, Thursday, February 24th, I'm going to have a meet and greet the candidate at the downtown Civic Center. So please, ma'am, and please, sir, if you got some questions for me, or if you got some criticism for me, I want you to come by and meet with me, and let's talk about it. I mean, it's just that simple. I've been open. I've always been available. I don't know of anybody out there who can say that they called me and I didn't respond. I might not have been able to help, but nobody out there can say they called me and I didn't respond.
I was about to ask you a few of those questions that you just answered. Number one, how many years of experience do you have in politics altogether?
Well, that all depends on how you frame it. Now, I was a public official for 24 years. It goes back to 1986 when I was first elected. But if you want to go back to my experience in politics, it goes back to the 70s. I first ran for public office back in 1974. And of course, if you want to go back before then, I was very active in the civil rights movement, which again, to me, is politics. So if you want to add it all up together, Bro Huff, it's been at least 60 years. And, I don't have a problem with that. I've got the experience and I'm still willing to do what I can.
Okay. You told us, I was going to ask you about your camp, if you was going to have a campaign kickoff, and when was it? You said February the 24th at the Civic Center. Did I hear you right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What time?
From 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. We'll be there. It's just a meet and greet. We're asking people to come out and come through and talk with us again, like I say, about some of the issues and whatever is on their mind. So I appreciate this opportunity to be on your show, and I look forward to coming back.
Listen, I also want to know if in the near future we're planning a mayoral debate with all the candidates. Would you be willing to be a part of that debate?
Oh, absolutely. I'm on one next month already.
Okay, we're going to have it on our show once we get all the other candidates to agree. We hope to have it, and we may we want to do it virtual and some, and then we may have everybody at one place, and we may film it and run it from there. We're just trying to just see what would be best for everybody. How if you wanted someone to support you, and I know you're having your kickoff, but is there a way that they can support you now if they want to support your campaign?
I just gave the information. I got a Facebook page, robertaveryformayor.com, and my webpage. They can go there. They can sign up to work. They can also sign up to put out some checks if they want to. But yes, that's where they can support me. And again, like I said, we'll be officially kicking off our campaign on the 24th. We're going to be opening up campaign headquarters sometime next month. Hopefully tomorrow I'm going to be able to sign the lease on the property. But we're not going to be really out there until sometime around the last of April, the 1st of May. Most people don't realize there's an election coming up in May. There's a state election. And some people are already confused because they're asking me why I hadn't put out signs and stuff, because we got an election coming up in May in a few months. And I said, no, ma'am, our election is not until August. And if you put signs out now and stuff like that, they ain't going to be any good by August come along, because the wind, the weather, and people will tear them up and take them down the whole 9 yards. But I am running, and you will be able to see some signs of it real soon.
Okay. One last thing from me.
Yes, sir. All right.
What do you say to the person that have said, Mr. Avery, time has passed. He's been in this thing too long. What really could he bring to the table? What did you say?
Experience count. If you don't believe it, look at the last 4 years we had in Washington. It had nothing to do with the man's age. It had to do with the fact that he didn't have the experience.
Well, he was an idiot too. Yeah,
You
I
said
don't even
that.
know. I don't even know how. Well, this real talk. He was a
I
straight
know.
up fool.
Well,
Straight up
I don't
idiot.
disagree.
I thought it was a joke when I woke up the next morning and said the whole time he debated, it was Comedy Central. I thought I was
Absolutely.
on Def Jam Comedy because he cracking jokes the whole time he
Absolutely.
debated. And when he
Absolutely.
became the president, I'm like, man, we got to be crazy. I can't
Absolutely.
believe this. I don't know. But
Pastor, believe it. And again, like I say, it has nothing. We've got Joe Biden, who is 70-some years old, who's doing a fantastic job because he had the experience. We had Donald Trump, who was 70-some years old. And like you said, he messed up everything because he didn't have the experience. Again, I can understand that youth movement. Hopefully, we're going to get some young people turned on. But right now, young people don't have any hope in this community. And that's why you don't have a lot of young people. I'd be glad to move over if we had some young people who had some experience and had the knowledge to do these things and the courage to do, because it's going to take courage. It's going to take somebody who's willing to fight the system and to do what's right for the people. And I've been accused of being a radical, a racist, or whatever you want to call me. And I don't. And I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to get off this thing. I don't apologize. I am pro-black. And if I find a black man who's not pro-black, you got a problem. If I find a white man who is not pro-white, he's got a problem. The difference between me and some of those folks is I'm not anti-white. Remember that. You need to be pro-black, but you don't have to be anti-white. And I'm not anti-white. And the people can say what they want to say about me. And I don't apologize for being pro-black. But I'm not anti-white.
And I'm okay with that. Let me ask you this question. If chosen as mayor by the citizens of Gaston, and I heard what you said, you pro-black, but question is, should the black and brown people be concerned with a possibility you being bought or selling them out in order to give them, because we know that in some areas in Gaston is where a lot of the money is. And we notice that those are the areas that get a lot of attention. Okay.
Okay.
So what about those individuals that's been waiting? Because let me tell you, here's the reason why I asked. We had four we had a majority on the school board, we had a majority on the city council. What we was expecting to receive, in so many words, we didn't get.
Absolutely.
Are you in agreement with that? And
Yep.
probably because of, like you said, personalities,
That's
but they couldn't agree for some reason.
right.
What would be so hurtful is for someone to get in that position that looks like me, that nowhere I have been and nowhere I'm at, have been in the same place that I'm at now. Now they get in the position and they forget where they come from. They forget where they come from, and they get 4 years to prove themselves. And the whole time they in there, they're catering to the other community and not to the community that has been lacking for years. Do you follow what I'm saying?
I
I
follow
mean,
everything.
I see people on my job, Mr. Avery. They worked on the floor with me out of the toolbox like I did. They get elevated to other positions, and now what they know we didn't like when we worked together, they have become. So
Right.
listen, my whole thing is I support my people. I love my people. But I'd be doggone if I'm going to put Clarence Thomas in office. You get where
I
I'm
hear you.
coming from? You get where
I
I'm
get
coming from? And I'm
I,
not calling you Clarence Thomas. Now, don't get me misunderstood. I'm not calling you Clarence Thomas. But what I'm simply
I,
saying is this: I would rather put a white man in office than to put the wrong black man in office. Now,
I
that's
agree
me.
with you.
Now, I ain't finna put the wrong black man in there because wrong black man make me forget who I am and make me want to hurt him because I'm expecting him to do something different. It's one thing when they do it to us, but it's another thing when we do it to ourselves. And that's more
Well,
hurtful.
let me say this, bro Huff.
Mm-hmm.
I got a I got a record, and I'm running on my record, and I'll stand by that record anytime, any place, anywhere. I support my people. I just told you I'm pro-black, and my record will show that. Whether you know it or not, I was the one who set up all of these districts back in 1986 with the hopes that one day we were going to have 4 black majority districts in our city, and we were going to have 4 black council members who were going to be able to work together and make this city go forward for everybody, not just the people across the track or the people on Rainbow Drive or the mountain, but everybody. We have accomplished that based on, I've done all the redistricting for this city ever since day one with that in mind. So if people think or anybody think that I'm a sellout to anybody, be they black or white folks, they don't know me. You can't name one group of folks that you can tie me to say those are the folks who control Robert Avery. Nobody. And that's one of the reasons why some black people don't like me, and some white people don't like me, because I can't be bought. I've got my living made. I tell people, I had a speech yesterday in Mississippi, the city I'm working for down there that I was with. I worked at Goodyear for 30 years. I get a retirement check every first of the month. They give me a check. They pay my insurance. I lived long enough, but I've been retired 20 years. I lived long enough to get Social Security, so I get that check every month. And I've never seen an armored car in a funeral procession. So what do I need money for? I've been in this house that I'm in now for 50 something years. The car I drive, and most people don't realize it's a newer car, but I've been driving the same type of car for the last 15 years, a gray Honda. I don't need money. So money can't buy me. I can't be bought, and I'm not for sale. End of the conversation.
That's good. Anything you want to share with our viewers before you go? Any last words you want to share with them?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Please, ma'am, and please, sir, go register, go vote. And we've got to do that. We've gotten away from that. Uh, I fought back in the 60s. As you see the sign behind me, I walked 700 miles to a march for people's right to vote. And I want people to go and register. I like for them to vote for me, but if you don't, that's okay. But as long as you go vote for those individuals who you think best represent you. And that's all I ask people to do.
Well, Mr.
That's
Avery, it's been a great conversation. Thank you for coming on to Real Talk to announce, uh, make your official announcement. Now everybody knows that Mr. Avery is running for mayor, and we wish you well. And we look forward to talking to you again. We'll get with you and let you know. Well, we'll get with you and see what's a good date for you when we put together the debate. Okay.
Be happy to. Just let me know. I'll be there.
All right. Well, have a good one, boss.
Same to you all. Bye, Miss Tanya. Appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye now. All right. We had Mr. Avery. Mr. Worthy, if you are so pro-black, why did you use dirty politics and put the website despairing every black running in the last election except for Williams, Benson, and Toles? We have had a great show, Bishop.
We did. A lot of good information.
A lot of good information, a lot of good conversation. We thank all our listeners for joining us on Real Talk. We're here every Thursday, 6:15. Some of you may have saw me jump not too long ago. That lightning thunder hit. Of course, you know it's raining, storming a little bit out on the outside.
Yeah, it knocked me out. I had to come back in.
Right. I figured that what was going on with you. But we had a wonderful show. That information that Miss Williams gave, we hope that you take advantage of that. You heard the information that Mr. Avery gave. Those that desire to support that, you're more than welcome to support that. We look forward to greater shows. We're going to put together that debate. And hopefully we can get the candidates to join us, and we may find a neutral place to have it and have all the candidates to join us there. But we're working hard, and so y'all be patient with us and work with us, and we want to make sure you get all the information you need. So when you go to the polls, you will be able to make the decision without a hesitation.
Exactly.
All right, Bishop.
Decision.
I forgot to do this. I'm sorry.
Real Talk disclaimer. The information provided by the host on this platform is for education and awareness purposes only. All information provided on this platform is provided in good faith. We make no representation or warranty of any kind, express or implied, regarding the accuracy, validity, and reliability of information shared by the host or show guests. The views and opinions of guests on the show do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the host of Real Talk. Under no circumstances do the host, show guests, sponsors, or affiliates assume responsibility for the actions of any viewer.
Lisa Robinson said, great show, Pastor Z and Lady T. Tara Marbury said, you guys are doing an excellent job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lisa said, great show and information. Thank all of you for joining us on tonight. We love you all. And until next Thursday, stay safe. Have a wonderful night. Good night.